me. Feed me more. Feed me more.
The RYBACK Show starts now. Welcome to the RYBACK Show. I'm your host, the big guy RYBACK. Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. We are streaming live on Instagram, the big guy RYBACK22. TikTok, we will be back Wednesday at some point, 10:24 a.m. to be specific Pacific time, that we will be allowed to live stream on TikTok once again, which we will only do for the beginning of the show. And then we will be cutting that feed and leaving the show to where we could talk freely and openly with free speech of words that can be used in multiple ways, various ways. And they just don't suspend you for the use of a word without taking into consideration the context and the fact that it is a show, a talk show and podcast. So that being said, we were suspended for a week for asking a question if someone was retarded, sarcastically, in which the word retard is not allowed on TikTok, as well as midget. Just for you guys out there, be careful. Don't even say it once with that. Guys, good to see all of you. We are streaming live on Twitter. We're not doing Facebook today. We're doing the Twitter platform as well to see how many people. Elon says that everybody should be uploading their podcast onto Twitter. So with even though we do the Spaces, X Spaces on here, we are having it the video version as well on the feed on Twitter as well. Since that's what Elon said, this is the top place for podcasters, which I will argue with all day long with his illegal suppression that he still partakes in with everything. But it is what it is for right now. But it won't be for long with everything. We are also, guys, on RYBACK TV. Thank you. Super chats are greatly appreciated and brought up in the screen between taking callers, health, fitness, supplementation, pro wrestling, sports, and anything and everything in between. This show is available on all podcast platforms. iTunes reviews are greatly appreciated. Thank you to those of you. We got a few new reviews that came in. Thank you, guys. We need more, guys. Every day I'd like to get 3 new people to please go leave a review, a star rating, and if you could write a quick little review for the podcast, the things that you enjoy about it. It helps get new listeners, helps on the audio feed for the audio, guys, which we're still consistently always in the top 100 on the audio, on the wrestling, despite being on 6 different platforms, typically before we hit the audio waves. So that is fantastic. We're one of the most listened to pro wrestling, health, and fitness podcasts out there. So I appreciate all of you for your love and support. This show is brought to you by Feed Me More Nutrition, my premium supplement line sweetened with stevia and monk fruit. No harmful artificial sweeteners or colors for all people, men and women, he, she, and thee. FeedMeMore.com. Get all the RYBACK merch, drinkware, workout accessories, and the best supplements on the planet. Save 20%, discount code FEEDME20, FEEDME20 to get 20% off your order, and you get a free Feed Me More Nutrition shaker bottle with all orders. Guys, check that out. Sign up for my email and text message program on the menu bar. You'll see, click on the little hamburger menu bar, go down to newsletter, click on that. You'll see newsletter and text message. I would sign up for both and get huge savings every week on the best supplements on the planet with my message of the week. No spam, just one email, one text every Wednesday, Thursday, guys, and save big. We have a very, very high returning customer rate. So thank you to all our great customers. Thank you to all my ex-subscribers as well out there, guys. I do follow back on that. Greatly appreciated. I'm enjoying some cotton candy with a sprinkle of raspberry lemonade. Finish it BCAA electrolyte matrix. Had a great weekend of cardio, great weekend of cardio and scar tissue work. I was going to say a great weekend of shoulder work, but a great weekend of cardio too. I got my record, not my record. I'm working my way back up with my weight higher to where my cardio, because it takes time. You know, like John Jones moved up to heavyweight. And it took, he stayed out for years, and that was to get his cardio up. It takes a long time. And when I went over 300, my cardio stayed high, but it was not as high as when it was about 20 pounds lighter. So now I've got it back up, and I've dropped probably about 4 or 5 pounds, give or take 3 to 5 pounds. and I've started slowly cutting my carbs, and I feel great. Definitely even notice a difference just from being in the high 290s, from 305, 303, 305, makes a big difference. So you should see me getting more and more jacked as I'm every week with everything. The cheat day is just the meal. Everything else is very clean, and cut back on a few of the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that I was having. Usually would have 2 a day of those. And so it's now we're tightening things up, and shoulders feeling really good. Have a lot to still get done, but we're feeling really good, which is a good thing. Someone says, "Are you still close with wrestlers?" Yeah, I'm close with a lot of guys. Guys, you don't talk to everybody all the time, but I talk to quite a few different people. Unfortunately, I wish it was under different circumstances with everything, with the passing of Wyndham, Bray Wyatt, with all of that. But it's you typically you hear people talk, and Luke Gallows actually talked about it with Bray on SmackDown, which, by the way, I thought did a fantastic job of the video package up front, and they did the spotlight on the chair deal on the stage with everything, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing, and they kept the show going as far as storylines for some of the stuff, which is not an easy thing to do for a television company. As far as they when Benoit passed, and that the day of, they learned the show that they had planned, they kind of just scrapped everything. Whereas this happened the day before, where they had time to kind of process everything, as short of amount of a time that was, but where they were able to put a show on still, but in memory of him, and for Terry Funk as well. And I think that's important, that in honoring him as well. But Bray being the current active member, and with the audience being very relevant to today's audience, I'm in disbelief still with it. Just been thinking about everything, and I'd have the new Feeding Time video came out, and I talk about him on the video, share another little story on there, which was, I didn't talk about it the other day. I'd forgotten about it, but things just pop in your head as you remember. He used to always tell me that if he was a kid, right when we were wrestling, if he was a kid, I would be his favorite, and I'd always just joke back, and like, "Oh, I know I'm your favorite right now, Wyndham," and give him a little hit him in the stomach, and he'd giggle, and he just so stupid. But then I'd tell him, I go, "Is that your way of telling me I look really good and suck?" Which obviously I'm joking. But he's just, man, he made everybody feel like he was their best friend, and literally was in the moment with everything. And then I try to act like that as well. We got along really good, man. So it's and I'm glad they actually stuff I can't. Just, man, I'm gonna miss him, man. It doesn't feel real still, as I'm sure it doesn't to a lot of people. So, but we're gonna try to celebrate his life and happy memories, and gone far too soon. But most people live their whole lives and don't really, not to say that life's not about being famous or successful, and that, but it's about doing what you want to do and living your life with passion, and in doing so, he was able to have a significant impact on this world, in the world of pro wrestling. And in a period of time, it wasn't even short. He had a great run, as it was. If he would have just retired, that's an amazing run. It's a Hall of Fame run with everything that he did. So he, man, and the people go their whole lives though, and he truly was a special one. I did watch AEW All In. I will give some thoughts. And if you guys have any specific questions with that as well, I enjoyed the show. Congratulations to AEW. That was, I thought, for being, this is a new company, so many things that they don't have experience in that they are doing. and doing very well. And I think sometimes in people that I think anyone that is even being critical, and you've got some people that are just going to be hateful and negative regardless of what you're doing, but some that might be going, comparing every little aspect to WWE, man, they're doing very, very well. And, I enjoyed the show a lot. And I'm really happy for everybody that got to go out and perform in front of an audience that large, because it is the largest audience to date, and really, really cool thing, man. And I thought the card, the one thing, and the difference, and I understand why this is a little bit of the difference between the brands with AEW and WWE. They go from match to match to match to match on the show. Personally, I wish there was a little bit more as far as maybe backstage promos and maybe some offset stuff throughout the show. But I think that will come in time. I really do. And it's not easy because there's so much that goes in to making a show like that successful. And so, man, just great job by everyone involved with that. And it's great to see. We should all be rooting for their success. It's just going to continue to make wrestling better and better and better. More options for everybody. And I enjoyed the show. I thought the opening match with Punk and Joe set the tone. I thought that was a great match. I really enjoyed that. And then and all the way to the end with MJF and Adam Cole, absolutely, came through and delivered on a card that had a lot of wrestling and everything. It didn't. I watched the whole show beginning to end, and I thought, like, am I going to get exhausted watching match after match? And I really didn't. I was like, however they laid that out, and they did a good job. Certain things, because I thought some things were going to go really long, and I felt like they did a good job on the times. And it would have been nice to have maybe a little, I saw Miro and Hobbs. I think that had to have been before the show because I saw it online. Something like that would have been a nice thing to have on the show. But I know they had so many matches as well. So, but like some spaces in between just the matches. That would be the only thing that I could think of. But I understand why they did what they do. And it is having that much and being new. Like, you just want to make sure you're executing that part of it great to begin with. They're just going to keep getting bigger and better. So really enjoyed it. And obviously the speculation with Punk and Jack Perry, I think, who knows? That could be part of an angle. I think, it's whatever it is. If this is a completely real thing and whatever's going on, it's just, we'll wait for the truth to come out. The truth always wins. Don't overreact. Like, I see a lot of people, and I saw like people just talking trash to both sides, from Punk's side to Perry's side. And, hopefully it's just part of an angle and they're smart and we're doing that. But if it is real, my biggest concern would be who in the company keeps leaking out info to the dirt sheet guys. That's the stuff that's the big problem. That I think it's a problem for both promotions. And I think there needs, should be some meetings and just say, like, guys, if we find out who's talking to these guys, you're fired. I really think it should be that simple with it. These guys are not, these people, they're not good people. And we've seen it time and time again. The same people that leak out the news on, on Bray and Wyndham's unfortunate passing are the same people that leak out the fake info on he was difficult to work with. And, those are the people. And that's why I have no respect for them. And I loathe them. And I just try to block them and just live life. But they disrupt the wrestling business in a negative way, in a hateful way. And they're trying to do is create drama and controversy to get clicks to make money off of wrestling, because they weren't good enough or didn't have the courage to go out and be able to be a part of the business. So they don't really have respect for anyone or anyone in the business, other than to try to expose it and try to expose people for their clicks and for their dollars. So that's that. And that's the truth. They could sit there and argue all day long. That's what they do. You need to be a special kind of fucked up to get into that line of work. All right. And that's it. All right. Let's get the show going. We're going to get Mike. Shawnee's in line. Shawnee, we're going to get Mike on. Mike has all the wrestling dirt news. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm well. I haven't talked to you in a bit. Hope everything's going all right.
Everything's going all right. I didn't want to come on during the Wyndham Tribute Show. Didn't really feel appropriate talking about it. It's still like, it's still a fresh wound. But what I got to say, I appreciate your rant just now, and they have fucked you more than anybody recently. So I do not begrudge you at all for anything you just said before I say anything else. And again, I've been listening to you since you did your YouTube show with Raj. And again, anybody that's listened back then, you've been consistent with every piece of information you provide. You have not in any way strayed from anything you've said. So I just want to make sure, anyone listening for the first time, you are somebody that's been very honest and you've backed up everything you've said. We've seen the impression data. We've seen everything. So but what I wanted to specifically say about the Edge thing, did you read what the report was last week from Wade Keller? Did you read what he wrote?
No.
Okay. So this, by all accounts, Wade has somebody in the talent relations department that has enough information about Edge's contract to be able to speak intelligently on it. And so it looks like he got half his information from the WWE talent relations department. The other half, it sounds like Edge called up, and you could probably guess one of these people that's high up. It isn't Christian because the financial bracket is much bigger for what Edge is looking for, but it sounds like there was at least 2 wrestlers in AEW that Edge called up to gauge what their contract was.
Yep.
So this by all accounts has been percolating since earlier this year, and I felt like they really rushed his retirement because they had him appear unannounced the week before to set up that match.
Yeah.
And that screamed to me, we've been trying and trying. We're not going to reach a resolution on this deal. So let's babyface ourselves to the audience at least, right? Because the report from Wade, it's very carefully worded in that the WWE wants the fan base to turn on Edge for being greedy. Instead of, because this is my guess here, and I don't know this obviously, but Edge's reported salary since he came back has been $3 million a year, right? Okay. So he apparently went to WWE and said, this is the terms that it would take for me to extend myself. They declined. And this is what I want to talk to you about, and you'll be more excited than anybody because you want a piece of this, as does everybody in your line of work. I think Tony has outbid WWE for Edge to the tune of $4 million for a handful of matches.
Okay.
And I also think that Edge has wanted to go there, but he also, and I didn't think this, maybe stupid on my part, I didn't think this would be more financial than anything else. I really thought the decision was, I think he's made at least 12 million since coming back, my guess.
Okay.
So I thought that this would be, even if AEW came close, that's where he'd be going. But it sounds like, no, I'm going to take the best offer on the table. I'm going to take the best offer.
Yeah.
And based off the information, and here's the thing, I don't know if you saw Edge's video, and it was really interesting. Edge filmed a video the prior day because by all accounts, he got calls from people that read the report and were surprised by it. The key is what he didn't say in the video. He did not say, I'm staying. He did not mention AEW at all. But at the end of the video, by all accounts, and he's a very polite guy that's trying, and just like you do, and you're very tactful. You don't want to, you agree. I know you agree with me about the fan base that doesn't want this company to succeed, that doesn't want you guys to make as much as possible, and you're trying to be tactful about it. But I know it probably burns you because you're putting your health on the line to do this to make a living. And for these people to say, I
to
don't
take
want
care of your family, and wrestlers
there
die
you
younger.
go.
Like it needs to be financial, needs to play a big part in all of this and for the health bills that you're going to, I had to spend 6 figures to get my health back. So people don't realize,
the stem cells and everything else. Yeah. You've taken your time to try and put yourself in a position where you feel good enough to do this because you know the result's going to be.
Yeah.
But at the very end, if you go watch this at some point, if you have time, if you go to his Twitter handle, watch the end of his video, you pay attention closely to what he says at the end of his video. Guys, whatever I end up doing, just know I'm doing it for fun. He's trying to reason with an unreasonable group of people that do not in any way want to understand why he'd go there. And I think this is a paradigm shift because look, Danielson has seen his agent. So Danielson wasn't going to make a penny less than what WWE offered him to go to AEW. So you can look at that. You can look at Adam Cole. The WWE wasn't going to, if it came down to money, they weren't outbidding AEW for Adam Cole. They just weren't. They didn't see him in that light, right?
Yep.
But this might be a paradigm shift for the industry where because the Endeavor merger slowly coming to fruition, the pay scale for WWE might be going down to the point where Tony might be able to consistently now outbid WWE for marquee talent like Edge. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about more than anything. I think my theory is Tony went to 4 because for Edge to, let's just say Edge wanted to give WWE every opportunity to retain him, right? The figure has to be significant enough where he's like, I can't. And look, I think we would agree. They'd start with a feud with him and Christian, and then they'd segue into a few tags. He's not going to do singles. And look, I'm in the minority on this, and I haven't seen anyone else say this. Did you see his match with Sheamus?
Parts of it, yes.
Okay, so this is my opinion, and maybe you feel differently because you've done this. You probably have a more keen eye than me. I'd have no doubt about that. I saw a guy for the first time that was really indecisive. I saw a guy that wasn't very confident in what he was doing. It looks like he might have a lower back issue at this point because when he was getting up for a simple double clothesline spot comeback, it looked like he was having more difficulty than I've seen of him. And now, granted, this is a guy that, for all intents and purposes, should not even be doing this.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear. I don't want to be disrespectful of him at all. But with that said, for me as a fan, I want that moment of him showing up there in another company. This was like the Nitro and Raw stuff 20 years later.
And for Tony, and what too, just so Tony's looking at this because some people, a $4 million investment, and this is not only is that an investment in getting him over to the company, it's an investment for getting future talent to the company as well. And Tony realizes this, and they have the pocketbook to do this with where they're at. That you got to remember, he's a very influential person in wrestling, Edge, and has had an amazing career, one of a kind career. When a talent like that, and this is regardless of health or age, but the fact that he is still wrestling is very good in this, and that he can go and potentially finish up his career over there, which, by the way, Jericho, who's very happy Christian over there, that plays a huge role. If two guys that you're closest with in the business are over there, that's going to play a huge role in wanting to go there as well, because that's who you're hanging out with in the locker room. That's who you're with at the shows. And Edge gets along with everyone, he always has. But like, if you're asking me, like, if I go to a company, do I want to be around a bunch of younger people that I don't really know, even though you get along with them? Or would you feel more comfortable around guys that you came up with your whole career and wrestle? I'd go, well, I want to be around as many guys that I get along with and that wrestled with during my time. I'd feel more comfortable with that. And obviously there's going to be a mix of new and other people in that too. But, when your best friends are with a company, that does play a huge role in stuff like that. There's a lot going on here. So 1, 2, when you're talking, I'd have to go back and watch the whole match with him, which I will go do. He, with his injuries and the age and that schedule, and he hadn't been wrestling either, regularly, that takes a toll, and having to get back and ready and stay in ring shape and go to a retirement match where he hasn't been like wrestling consistently every week for a long time with that. So, there could be that too. We could be just looking into that where if sure. But you do notice, like, Matt Hardy, we could tell, and I could tell, like, I love Matt.
And I love Matt, but yeah.
You could tell when they're hurting. Like, I think we all can on it. And you could just tell when a guy's body, from when they performed at a high level and were bumping and feeding and moving a certain way, and when that starts slowing down, it's one thing to slow down temporarily from an injury that you could but when it starts permanently kind of setting in, it can be hard to watch, because we know that damage is just building and building and building and building. And we see the way that a lot of the, people that are retired, and it kind of goes downhill when everything's done. We don't want to see that with anyone, with that. So, but they love the business, and they give everything they have, and they want to continue to be a part of it, and they can still do it at a very high level. But you do notice when you go from being in your prime to when that drops. It is noticeable with elite athletes and wrestlers. So that could very well be going on with him, and with his age and with his injuries and the neck injury and everything, that's very possible. Also, could just been a thing that he hadn't been wrestling in a bit and was beat up a few weeks training, coming in, and maybe had a back injury. We don't know. That could have been a thing. So, but I do think, by all accounts, and when you brought that up to me before with him many months ago, it made sense. And here's, and a lot of people don't understand this, is as much good in WWE as there is for wrestlers, as far as in the moments that we have and the opportunities that you have, it can be a very negative, draining environment, regardless of how much money you're making. Even a guy like him in getting $3 million a year, in which I have no doubt that's true. you're
guaranteed, by the way,
Yeah.
guaranteed because Tony came into their sandbox, and that was, by all accounts, he was really considering going there. But again, I don't know if he had kids at that point, but he was probably preparing. You see guaranteed money where you might have one match and be like, oh man, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You're going to take it. It's the best offer, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
In which, so I just think with this, the interesting thing, and for people, because in WWE, I'm glad you mentioned this, because they Kevin Dunn and Vince, and I know absolutely love Edge.
Right.
They always have. They
said in the report, just to piggyback what we just said, while the report was framed in a way to make him look bad, they also did say we don't resent him, which tells me it's a significant dollar figure.
Yeah.
When they say we don't resent him, that means we can't justify that number.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And that's what. So they. And Vince and them very, because they know this was one thing that bothers me. I wish pro wrestling contracts, it needs, and this is something I said many when I left WWE. Right. This stuff needs to be transparent. We know all the other sports figures numbers. The reason pro wrestling, and it is so carny, and this goes back to Vince and them from developmental telling us we can't have agents, which, by the way, I'll never not use an agent moving forward. Like especially owning all my stuff now, like. But like we were told to never have agents or would be fired. Like that's how they groomed us in developmental. Right. And so they don't want like this information getting up, because they know, like, if you know what somebody, and this is all of wrestling kind of, I think, if you know what other wrestlers are making, other talents are going to be able to gauge kind of what they should ask for. And that number is going to go up, and we see it in sports, but wrestling, that's one thing Vince, for whatever reason, has had such a weird control over for so long, where you're almost brought in, you're like, don't discuss pay. Well, why wouldn't you discuss pay? Right, the Click did it. They were smart. Those guys are the ones that they made great money, is because they were able to actually get the information from people and each other. And that's where, like, that's why Edge, like, it's probably the people he's probably inquiring about are probably Punk, Moxley, and Jericho.
I think Jericho was one of the first, and that's the thing too, right? He now knows, because you have to talk to a small circle of people in that financial bracket. You now know either who told somebody or who told somebody that told somebody else. And you're like, because if you get a chance to watch the video, he is usually in a very good disposition. Yeah. And he was for the most part here, but you can tell he's kind of aggravated because
he's getting hate. Because what happens is people turn on you. It's just like the hate from the dirt sheets with me, but I know the truth on things, and he's a great guy. So now for the first time, because I'm sure he's had his fair share of hate at different times, but he's probably seeing an overwhelming amount of tweets or people messaging him saying from things they're reading on the dirt sheets that they don't maybe know are true or not true, that he's being greedy or
the one thing too that so when you watch the video, you'll see this. So it's interesting wordplay. He acknowledges that yes, WWE did offer him a new deal, but he doesn't say that, hey, look, these do not contain the terms I presented to them. Because Wade Keller, I don't know if it was the same day or the next day, but he had an immediate, and this tells me this is somebody in the talent relations department, because it's somebody very close to, you have to have, very few people would know this information where they can credibly try and report this. So Wade said, yes, Edge was offered a new contract, but no, it does not contain the terms he wanted. So you just have to ask yourself, okay, he was aggravated enough to try and respond, but if the crux of the video is, look, we're on good terms, because he's trying to be the nice guy here. Yeah. He's trying to be the guy that's, let's just say LeBron James leaving Cleveland. He's trying to say thank you to the fans. And of course the fans burn his jersey, right? Naturally goes back years later and rectifies it. Right. But anyway, he's trying to say, look, no, we're on good terms. There's no bad blood. And he even says, I did not ask, and this is wordplay again, I did not make some big contract demand, but you have to think, and we don't know this, did he have 30 days left in his deal, however it was worded, where he can negotiate? Does he have the right to call somebody? Because I have no doubt he's an agent. He does acting now. There's no way he doesn't have any. So was there contract language where he could reach out and say, look, what about this? Because it's a very interesting situation in that you would think conceivably, right? If this was like, let's say the NFL or something, you're not going to pay a 50-year-old running back for a couple of games, like $4 million. It's ludicrous. But the wrestling business is such that Tony, exactly what you said, you nailed this. Because I said that I was talking to a friend of mine at length about this. This has to be a broader strategy to say to the whole industry, hey, come over here. You'll work less. And to what you said about the negativity, I truly think that, and I don't remember what Matt Hardy said in his podcast, but after the Edge story came out, where it sounds like creative kind of pulled the rug underneath him with his vision for the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Sounded like Edge started looking out the door. And just because he did an interview with Logan Paul Mania weekend that a lot of people didn't pay attention to. And he said in it, basically, no criticism of WWE, but he cited how creative a guy he was, how important it is for him to... He didn't want to come out and outright say, I want control of creative, but basically, I really want a hand in it. And he said in that interview that he has a year left, which contradicts what he said recently, even though I think he's feeling it. I have no doubt. I have no doubt he's feeling it. But he said he had a wish list that he did not divulge. And I just think that, if he got what he wanted, this is where he was heading, because he does, obviously, we all believe he wants to work with Christian. And that was what Meltzer had Mania weekend. I've told you, a certain fabulous Freebird, I'm 99.9% sure, tells Dave a lot of stuff in WWE.
Yeah.
I've told you that before.
Yep.
Because who else would Edge confide in management in WWE? You gotta think about that. He's not gonna, and he thought this guy would not go tell Meltzer about it, because I'm convinced Edge and Christian have never really talked to these guys.
I believe that. Yeah, I would believe you on that.
Yeah, because
a lot of wrestlers don't that I know of.
Right.
I think it's not to say I'm not around the newer, younger guys, but there's clearly some connections with both companies where people are getting information really quickly, whether it's true or not true. Oftentimes it's a mixture. So
that's why the Wade thing is so interesting to me, because, okay, Edge films a video. Edge felt the need to film the video, but he didn't feel the need to acknowledge the AEW part, which tells me.
Well, he did that too to try to diffuse the hate that was coming in, because we all can see when in the company, and this is what people that know me, when all the hits started coming out on my character and all this stuff, it was like, it's like, what damage is this going to do? There's no way. Like, we know the truth, but it's crazy. It over 7.5 years has done a significant amount of damage on it, because and it's over and over, and people just read something and believe it, and then they don't accept anything else other than that is the truth. So I think he recognized, we all know inside the game when that happens, when like, it's like the Bray stuff. This is what I was getting, when he was out fighting for his life.
The ringside news stuff.
All that, everybody. But other dirt sheet people were putting out things too. But that stuff gets regurgitated from other places as well.
Right.
And I just go, the guy literally, like, this is enough, like with this. And that's the most extreme worst case example of it bothers me to no end, but we could see, like, this has to come from somewhere when it comes out too. And WWE is notorious, though. They will try to control the narrative and the story.
Right. You nailed it. Yeah, because why else? If you have time, and again, I know you're busy as hell. I don't pretend you're not. But if you have time at some point today, go track down the initial Wade Keller report and the follow-up.
Okay.
I think they're both on the site unlocked. But basically, you can tell, and you'll see this too. This is from talent relations. The part where it's coming from WWE is talent relations. So to what you said about controlling the narrative. Now, look, it's wrestling. Anything can happen. Can they come back to him and come closer to the offer? Of course. But given the way they wrote him off, and when I say wrote him off, they gave him an incredibly classy exit, that I really think that wasn't just so much as to honor him. It was say to fans, look, we did everything right by him.
And I think the reason, and even though he earned and deserves the best send-off possible, they are very petty, but I think he sits so high in fans' eyes that if they would have tried to do him dirty, that it would have been just backfired on the company. That would have been a guy that, like, if he would have got snubbed and they just kept him off TV and didn't give him a send-off and he went to AEW, I think there would be resentment towards WWE with their hardcore audience. And they realize that.
That's the thing too. The one thing, and I mean, look, I thought that, so he said last week to a Toronto radio show, keep in mind, these by all accounts are not fans, they're asking very general questions. I'm sure when you were at WWE, you dealt with these kind of people all the time, right? It's just an obligation, but he volunteered that his contract expires in September. Now, look, he may be telling the truth. I thought there was a good chance he was going to be on Tony's private jet on Friday, and he was going to show up yesterday. But if he doesn't show up Sunday at their Chicago pay-per-views, Christian is in Luchasaurus' corner, could be an opportunity to debut him there, then I'm going to start to think, maybe he was telling the truth about the September expiration. And maybe there's another dual meaning to that, which is he's saying publicly to AEW when he's actually available. Because he said the end of the month. He was very specific. I think his exact wording was the end of September. So he could be telling the truth there. I don't know. I'm always suspicious at times with him because, and I don't blame him. By all accounts, the fabulous Freebird told Meltzer that he was coming back from his neck at the Royal Rumble. and also PW Insider. If you ever see anything about travel reports, so now they're trying to say like they spotted somebody in the airport, right? Their new way of reporting, but they have somebody in the WWE travel department that gives them the information about who's going to be on the flight. That's how they had Sting debuting at Survivor Series years ago. They had somebody say, "Oh, we have Steve Borden on this flight to this destination." That's so these guys do have some people. Like when Danielson was imminently debuting for AEW, PW Insider got a really interesting scoop in that he had been removed from all internal merchandise, video games, whatever. So these guys are, and that's the thing too, right? When the company has to know where certain information is coming from.
Yeah.
And it's interesting at times how they don't snuff that out if they are trying to keep this out. But as far as the Edge thing, this by all accounts was the company allowed whoever to tell Wade Keller this. Because I don't think this person, I mean, you can narrow this down as far as who gave the information, but I think this was authorized.
Who's in the only thing, I don't know who's in talent relations now. Is I know John Cone, I think, is in a position.
Yes, I think that might be the guy yes, I think that might be, because you got to think about it. It's not the high. I mean, I don't think
is Cone working in like Laurinaitis' or Carano's position?
I think so. He's right in the proximity of that at least.
I talk to him every once in a blue moon, not a lot, but like he's always been the guy that I've talked to the most. He's always been very out of everybody that I've known, and I'm always skeptical of anybody in the company. I've known him from developmental. He's always been someone that I trust more than others in the company.
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to think, right? You got to think who would have that information, because Edge is not talking to these people. We know that. So you take Edge out of it. So there's people on the AEW side that must have told Wade, hey, he called and fished around for contract for your tour. You know, somebody that they told that information, because it's a pretty clear picture that should, unless anything changes, that's where he's going.
Yeah. And I think he is. And your comment on, like, you know, with running backs in the NFL, pro wrestling is an entirely different thing in the sense that wrestlers can have their biggest money years in their 40s and 50s in wrestling. But you know, not to say that if they take care of themselves in like 30s, 40s, and 50s, depending on, and sparingly, you know, how you're used and what you're doing. But wrestling is the one thing that you can control how the match is and what you're doing. It's not the same as being an NFL running back, where guys can burn out in their 20s and they're done with the injuries with it, because it's not scripted entertainment with it, and you can't. But it's different in that sense. But still, like, you don't also want to be bringing in people. You do, if you're bringing them in for wrestling, you do want to make sure you can get, you know, enough out of them. But, like, you know, look at Sting, how great his run has been there. But they have protected him and used him, but he's done way more than I thought he was going to do in AEW. Like,
I think he's got, and I don't know how, because he's showing up now at like I don't even know what high school gym is what to call it, but he showed up in maybe in front of 20 people to play around. I think, and this is so crazy to say this, I don't know, and someday he'll maybe tell the complete story. He seems to genuinely be loving what he's doing, to the point where we knew before he always worked hard. Like, I don't know if you ever saw, he had a match with Kurt Angle in TNA years ago, and I've never seen, and I'm not saying he was ever lazy, I'm not saying that. But he was bumping and like he was trying to match, and nobody can, frankly. It's Kurt. But he was trying to be there for every little thing, and that was the one time where I'm like, oh my god, he's trying to match Kurt. But his whole AEW run, I'm sure you saw him jump off a balcony a year or two ago. Oh my god, he's giving the fans, he's giving the company, and you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. We don't know this, but if you were Vince McMahon, only Vince McMahon would say, yeah, nobody wants to see The Undertaker and Sting. Who would want to see that? Oh, everybody but you. But you know what I'm saying? It's like they're giving him a platform to go on his own terms, and he's having fun. But
people are having fun, I think, I think a lot of us too that have came up in the business, we only know the WWE way in that kind of toxic, negative environment. Right. And I think now there's legitimately, and I know this from talking to enough people, where, and not to say that there isn't politics and BS there, because there is, but it overall, because it's coming from the top down, Tony Khan is entirely different, has a much different, more positive mindset than Vince McMahon. And treats people better.
We've talked about this before, and look, there might be something dropping later. Either Punk is suspended, or he might be trying to quit the company. I would just watch out for that. There's there's a reporter that by all accounts gets everything from him, and it's not PW Insider that's going with it this time. So it sounds like there could be a bomb later today, and it's just a reality of if that pen is put to paper on a new media rights deal, can Tony kind of say, look, fuck this? Because look, let me just say this, okay? I think the guy is a compelling artist on the microphone. The guy's a compelling wrestler. But at the end of the day, look, how many fucking times does it take?
Yeah.
Like, I hate saying, because I want AEW to succeed more than anybody. And I think he's part of the equation to make that happen. But when he sat up there at that press conference, let me just say this. And look, I know you've met the guy, and I respected his podcast. I respected how hard he worked as an independent wrestler.
Yeah.
But Colt Cabana should not be the cause of one of the biggest brawls and something that tarnished your brand. Like when Cody said it tarnished, like Cody said that better than anybody. And I remember I was DMing somebody when that was happening. They kept telling me it's a work. I said, there's no way it's a work, because this doesn't, like, all Warner Media has to do, okay? And this is why they're so lucky. They're lucky a police report was not filed, okay? They're lucky Warner Media didn't call them and say, look, we have the NBA rights.
Are you talking about the initial Punk?
The brawl, because all they have to do is say, okay, what is happening here? And then if the network decides that they want to start trying to regulate your product, like they would in the event something like this would happen with somebody on their hockey deal, someone on their NBA deal. Like, these guys don't fucking get it. And that's the one thing about the Jack Perry Punk thing. And I said this to a friend earlier. This is not normal for legit. Like, I say Tony Khan is me with $12 billion. That's how much I love this. And these guys aren't taking advantage of the opportunity of, you don't have to work for the WWE. You can get paid high six figures or beyond that. You work once a week. There's no writers. There's no dipshit that's going to say, well, you have to read every syllable on this paper. It's like, no, these guys are not, these guys don't understand it. Like, this is the last, like, I don't know if you ever heard Richard Branson was playing around with entering the wrestling business after WCW died. But you're never going to see a billionaire like this come in again. Not just a billionaire. Let's be clear. This guy was on message boards. He was trading tapes. He was going to the ECW arena. I mean, look at his taste, right? Christian is his favorite wrestler. I mean, that's great taste to me, right? Yeah. Christian is, but just to get back to what I was saying about the pay scale. Now, look, the Drew McIntyre thing, I like Drew a lot. I think Drew's very talented. I would love to know, does Drew want to be the guy? Or does Drew want to take the money he wants, work once a week, and be in great matches? Because that's the thing, right? And no disrespect, he wants to be the guy. That's great. He worked his ass off in WWE, and by all accounts, he doesn't feel like he's been appreciated for that. And look, the pandemic happened at the worst possible time, right? I mean, it is what it is at this point. But I think that Drew McIntyre has not signed a new deal because he's in a tag with Riddle. By all accounts, they want to turn him heel before he leaves. Yeah. He seems to be fighting that creative right now. But this whole thing with the pay scale, Edge is going to tell everybody what he's making, and that's what makes WWE uncomfortable more than anything else. Because now it's not as simple as matching. Because Kevin Owens had AEW matched, he was going to go there, and I want to say he's making $3 million now. Yeah, and Tony would not go to that point at that point because this is good to know. These numbers need to be out. Like, WWE has gotten away with murder for so long, and so many wrestlers don't realize. So many wrestlers sign their first 3 to 5 year deals for so little. That this is why I really believe too they've suppressed me when I left. They knew I was going to talk about all this, and I have. But I've been discredited and silenced so long it doesn't really make waves with this. But I've been telling wrestlers and people every wrestler should have an agent, and every wrestler, we should all know what everybody's making. This should be made to the public, known to the public. You saw what I tweeted last night, and I know you took great interest in what I tweeted last night, because now it's interesting. The UFC wants to start trademark catchphrases. Yeah. This is UFC. So what's going to happen is, and this is one of the reasons I said that UFC and with Vince is because Vince gave them the playbook when they had Dana fly out there initially many years ago. Right. When he met him in his office, and they smarten them up to the WWE playbook on manipulating and controlling talents. They are now. So what UFC? What my guess is that they had everybody looking over the contracts of WWE and UFC. In UFC specifically, what can we take from what WWE is doing and incorporate them into our UFC contracts? Right. And this is why I think they overvalued this. One of the reasons they overvalued and essentially gave Vince a bonus for the company is because he's going to end up making and saving them so much money with what they're going to start implementing into their UFC contracts. And they're going to start getting guys, the Connors and those guys are going to be untouchable with that. But the new fighters with that, the guys coming up, they're going to get screwed royally.
and they're going to go, well, where else are you going to go? They're going to do what WWE has done for far too long to wrestlers.
Hopefully PFL, because I'm sure you follow this to an extent, that PFL wants to buy Bellator. They want to merge the rosters. They want to merge the infrastructure, and PFL wants to. PFL wants to be the new competitor in the marketplace once they absorb Bellator. But yeah, to what you're saying, there's no doubt about anything you just said. I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, okay, so this is now the fighters are going to have. But the thing is, I think the wrestlers might be making out better financially. But this is the thing. With the Endeavor merger, was this part of the calculus in not matching Edge's offer from AEW? Was it as simple as, because look, they want
to control talents as much as possible.
Right.
This is what Vince and I'm telling people. This is all plays in with me with how big I was and was going to continue to get. They do not want that. They want to control. They don't want the people that can be mega over to get mega over. They want the people that they want to pick, and they can kind of keep it within a range. Pay them within a range. I'm telling you, they know this from years of people, and they don't want the Stone Colds and Rocks. Like they don't need that anymore in their eyes. They want to keep everybody at a certain level, and they want that brand and that logo. You know, this is another thing. They just signed a deal with the NFL doing belts for all the teams.
And they took the Tony's belt off the website. The Jags belt was removed.
Yeah.
Which is just,
but they're finding more and more ways, and this is where Endeavor's going to come in. They're going to do this with baseball. They're going to do this with all the sports teams. They're going to work out deals where they're making these individual belts for the teams.
Right.
Where this is now just no wrestlers are getting paid for this. By the way, that's a logo thing with that, and so they're finding more and more ways to become more profitable each year. The numbers are going to continue to grow, but they want to keep people. They don't like. This is why they've tried to hide the pay scale for so long. And I keep telling people, every wrestler, these numbers need to be out there because everyone's going to make way more money with it.
Yeah, they're a publicly traded company too. That's the odd part. They're a publicly traded company, yet they're purposely not making their talents' contracts available to the public.
Yeah.
And not even to be clear, it's their colleagues. Yeah, that's the real game here. In that, we want to hope that enough of these people are at each other's throats to compete for the top spot, that they're not sharing their contract information, because that's ultimately that's why this Edge story is so fascinating to me. Yes, I'd like to see the moment with him and Christian. Yes, I'd like to see the debut. But I say this all the time, and I'm very inconsistent about this. I want people like you, people like all your colleagues, to make the most money as humanly possible, because this is just as cold as boxing. It's just as cold as football. It's just as cold as mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
It's a shitty business that you get into because you love it, and people are trying to fuck you in management every step of the way because they're hoping you're not smart enough, not even to collectively bargain. Because look, the union thing, and you've brought this up, and you've made excellent points.
But I'll tell you too, just before you go there, wrestling though, I believe wrestling, and the backstage environment with wrestling, with the pay scales being known and wrestlers making more money. I wish everybody would understand and listen to this. The backstage environment would improve drastically if everybody was making an amount that they were happy with, and they would not have the fear of being buried or losing or losing spots if they were being paid off of the physical acting role on the contracts and getting fair pay in this. This is where people get upset with how they get booked, because they know their pay is about to start going down because they're on shitty downsides, and the company is going to manipulate their downside. And you can have $100,000 downside, but have $1 million year. You could also have 100,000 downside and not do anything and just barely make that 100,000 and not be making any money. Like that's where that range of that gap of how everything can go up there can go with it. Whereas if everybody's getting the fair pay, and this is what I talked about when I wrote the pay scale blog, I'm not equal pay, but it needs to be more balanced with this, that people did not want to listen to, except for the wrestlers that all messaged me, said, thank you very much for putting this out, because I knew what I was writing it for. It wasn't for me. I was leaving with everything. But it's like there needs to be more balance in this, and there won't be all these tensions and the BS politics. This whole pay scale madness is from Vince McMahon's corrupt, negative mindset of this. And so this is where with AEW and Tony, we can get away from this, and things are going to continue to improve over time the more we get away from Vince and all of this. But it needs to improve, and it needs to be out there, all that information.
And I was just going to tell you, and I don't want to hog any more of your time or anyone else's, I'll let you go on this, but I would just tell you, if I'm right about this, because if he was making 3, and if you look at the reporting, it doesn't sound like they offered less. So that's a key part of this. It does not sound like a reductive offer was made here. It sounds like they stuck with what they were offering. It was outbid. I think what you're going to start seeing is Drew McIntyre at minimum, I think, is going to want to go talk to Tony and have a conversation. And look, I don't know if that's a fit for him. I really don't know what he wants out of his career at this point. But if he wants the money, he wants to work less, he wants to have more say in his promos, whatever, okay, fine. But
WWE, and I will say with Drew, though, what will happen is, and this is going to be very telling, so he is not going to get treated like Edge. They will run him down and embarrass him, and they will put out lies on him if he doesn't resign. My guess is everything is kind of stalled right now, and it might be far enough away where they're still kind of like they're not complete. This is what they did with me right before I left. Team. So like they put him in the IC title feud. They'll get a big win for Gunther, but he's in a featured spot. We'll get a good payday with it, but he's putting him over with it. And then now like the Riddle, it's like dragging their feet. They're going to continue to demote him on TV more and more if he doesn't sign the contract. So that's just something to look out for. There will also be fake reports on his character, on him having a bad attitude, and that will get people to turn on him to make his life more difficult. It's the same playbook they use for everybody on it.
I would just tell you, though, the one to watch, and I keep saying this, I think I mentioned this to you before, the one to watch, even though he's Mr. Rah-Rah WWE in public, Seth Rollins was caught watching Tony Khan's press scrum stream right after an event, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
He paid attention to everything AEW is doing, and I don't think that he's putting on a work here that he's really beat to shit right now. I think he does have legit background.
So I just saw footage of him, and I know him from working with him. I thought the same thing when I saw a clip of him. I could tell very easily because I have my back pain that I had of how I moved. I could tell when a person's moving when they're in pain, and I thought that same thing.
Yeah, so if you look at what's happening next year, and let me say this, I don't think AEW is going to get Becky Lynch. You never know. I don't think that's going to happen. But her contract is allegedly up in May or June. Rollins' contract might be up before WrestleMania. So that's going to be an interesting situation because we're going to see how Endeavor applies.
They're losing a lot of You got the loss of Bray, Wyndham here gone. Sure. Randy's future is definitely questionable to say the least. Especially how many, if he is able to come back, it's not going to be the old Randy of every night. I don't think. With that, Edge leaving, Drew possibly leaving, Seth possibly leaving, they don't have that many big stars there right now.
That's why if MJF is not signed to a secret extension, which is what I believe, and I could be crazy because he bought a Tesla last year, and I think he was only on a $300,000 a year contract. Yeah. And my thinking is when he and Tony figured out whatever was going on, Tony knows whether he's aggravated him or not. With him or not, this is and you saw yesterday, this fucking guy got a kangaroo kick over.
Yeah.
This guy got a literal comedy spot and a vignette over to 80. The guy is a special, and let me tell you this.
He's doing amazing work right now. His stock has risen rapidly.
A casting director that has some brains is going to see this guy, and they're going to be like, why is he in a wrestling ring and not on our top-rated sitcom?
Yeah.
That guy's going to write his own ticket. But if he is actually going to become a free agent, I would just love to see now because of Endeavor's.
They're going to be able to start signing people again because WWE hasn't been making offers from what I understand.
No. Jay White, I told you this months ago. The Jay White thing is one of the most bizarre things because WWE immediately takes a 30-year-old and puts him right near the main event. In 6 months, maybe you give him a title run, whatever. But the MJF thing, Paul Heyman is already in MJF's ear. He's gotten close to him because, of course, he has. And
Paul's already looking out for his meal ticket. Paul. So if Paul's reaching out to him, Paul knows everything's coming to an end soon, and he needs another meal ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if he's available, guess what? You're going to see this kid put two billionaires against each other, and he'll probably walk away. I bet he would walk away maximum $4 million a year for someone his age. It would be the richest contract for somebody. I don't even know if he'd be 30 at that point.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to go on. But yeah, I don't want to keep it any longer. Love these conversations. Don't want to be.
No, I love it, brother. Let me just ask you this to end with the Punk stuff. So do you think there possibly could be? So I thought with this, I go because Punk is. Here's the deal, and I know Punk is a very controversial figure as people. I had many interactions with him. And before we ever had any things, when things start going bad, he's very petty and he will do things like I believe he's put things out in the past. He'll put the lies out. I clearly know he'll put lies out on podcasts, different things. he will blur the lines and the truth. He loves being the center of attention though, and he's always had an obsession with wanting to be the leader. He had it in WWE when he wasn't. Nobody's the leader of anybody like in that. It's like it's a bunch of grown men. He was like when he gave that locker room talk before, and everybody was like, what the hell's going on? And Cody's told it, Booker's told it, I've told it. Like nobody, like not one person in there was taking it serious. We were like, what is going on? What is this guy's mental illness? Like I can't imagine but I can see there's always been in wrestling, there's always been a fight of young and old in wrestling or of veterans and newcomers. And where AEW has a lot of newcomers and they have a lot of guys that have been in the business and there's I feel like it's a very interesting time in wrestling though. And this is where I tell people, like, you've got to have, like me being out, I try to have respect for all the talent and not shit on wrestlers. Because I know I want to come back and they're not going to respect you if you don't respect them. Punk is a very controversial guy and he's not afraid to to disrupt things and to he's not necessarily afraid of confrontation with certain people with this. And I know this from the different things I've had with him and how he'll act and how he'll talk. And he'll back down if he knows he can't do anything to you, but he'll then find backhanded ways to get back at you later. But if he thinks he could take you, he will do everything. I really firmly believe this. I think probably the way his UFC career went and with him getting just absolutely destroyed out there, and to his credit though, he went and did it with it. But I think that there's a chip on his shoulder where he wants people to respect him and think he's a tough guy that I think he doesn't have amongst boys in the business. It's
like the Kenny Omega thing when he called, because I firmly believe that press conference last September, he didn't think they were going to come to his locker room, so he didn't even anticipate with one arm because he tore his arm. He's got one arm. He's pissed off, and I'll just say this again. And I know you met him. I know he's a nice guy. I'm sure, and I respect he tried. I respect he did everything he could to become a big time wrestler. But for this all to have started over Colt Cabana, that's what pisses me off more than anything. All right, because we don't know. We don't know if Tony simply because look. When they started the company, they had to sign anyone not nailed down. That's why you had Marco Stunt on national television. All due respect. I'm sorry. No.
They had guys on TV to fill spots that maybe necessarily would not. And I talked about that. With what they did it was unbelievable that they were able to become successful with not having a lot of named guys. And but I know what you're saying.
For the fight to all start over something like this, and this is the thing. I hate saying anything bad about Tony because I'm so grateful to Tony. I watched TNA from the summer 2002 all the way to 2017 where it was a ship that was going underwater. All right. I've always wanted as much wrestling available as possible. And for these guys to get into a fight over Colt Cabana, and also look, Kenny Omega, I don't care what people say. He might be the nicest guy in the world. He's a brick house. There's no way Punk could take Kenny Omega. I can't see a universe. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But for Punk alone to call three people, one of them being Kenny Omega, a brick house that could probably kill him if he wanted to. That's the thing there where it's like, these guys are pussies. They won't come to my locker room. And they did come to your locker room. Yeah. And because of weeks in advance, and Meltzer even said this, and we know Meltzer talks to the elite. Maybe they don't talk to him so much anymore because they're trying to keep this stuff off. Yeah. They're at least trying to do their part, not feeding him. But he had said if something is not done to mediate this, there's going to be something bad that's going to happen. And
it's going to keep brewing. Yeah, well, and I talked about this before, with this thing, and I thought this all could have been because the arguments happen in wrestling, but most of the time, with people that and I can just give you an example, like Bray Wyatt. He's such a great guy, and he had massive success with that. Never once did I ever me and Bray when we would wrestle. Never once, and because there's such a great respect and love because if he's told he's going over, it's like he's going over. And there's a lot of guys in the business like this, and we all came from developmental and But then when you're dealing with Punk was around during a little different era with some different guys, and he wasn't part of that crew. He kind of acts a little differently, and there's more politicking and different things. And most of the guys I feel like in wrestling all have pretty good attitudes and want the best for everybody. But there's some, and this is where egos come in, that can cause a major disruption. And we're seeing this with it. And it's I just say the truth always wins with it. And I just, if something isn't done and you're not going to here's the other thing with the elite with that, that needs to be an angle on TV if this happened, and they can make as much money with this as possible. But for whatever reason, they're not able to do this with it.
I think Kenny will work with him. I don't think I think Matt Jackson was the one out of the group. So I don't know if you read about this. Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Kenny, Hangman, they were all going to go to the same destination together, whether that was staying or going. And I truly think if the WWE had put on the same schedule offering, which they can't because that would destroy their nucleus of their locker room, they couldn't do that. But I think Matt Jackson wanted to leave over the Punk thing. I don't think that I think Kenny and Punk could happen. But look, by everything that happened last night, and there seems to be a trickle of something coming today about Punk potentially not wanting to work there anymore. This is what I want to ask you, because I Triple H hates him. He hates Triple H. But when he went backstage at their Chicago Raw months ago, Punk tried to have a private audience with Triple H. And I think, look, this guy, and a lot of people don't want to talk about this, he was negotiating with WWE the same time he was negotiating with Tony.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. He was trying to take the right place. Don't blame him at all. But it's the ultimate hypocrite act. They sued you and drained you of $2 million paying for their doctor to take you and Colt to court. They won. Ultimately, they won because they drained you of money.
Yeah.
That's what they did. So he might win the judgment, but they won the war.
Yeah.
Because they drained you of $2 million when you've tried to be frugal with your savings, right? So my question to you would be, would WWE take him back given, I mean, I don't, it would be such a weird
They would if they have the power in the situation where they can,
Right.
Vince, if they know that Vince can manipulate him and control him again. And like,
Right.
then, because Vince, this is where they've said it's all a game to him with it. And it's all about, but if Punk was in a position of power and wanted, then no. But if Punk is out of options and needs to be in wrestling and like, then they can get the upper hand, they would.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think
they would in a heartbeat, and they would use him, but they would eventually ultimately get back at him, which is what I'm going to leave. I've talked about this before, and this is the Cody situation. And I love Cody, and I hope I'm wrong on this, but they always get the last laugh, and they're okay paying people a lot of money and letting you do all right and letting you do good if they still get the win and with how they want to get the win. And, the people have talked about Cody trade, with his trademark, and he trademarked the pay-per-view names and made the trade for it. I think you brought that up with that. And, the Triple H sledgehammer. And I know they had some stuff that happened when he was there that Cody had told me about specifically that I know with Hunter, and that I won't talk about publicly. But that I just go, they will always find a way to get the last laugh if you sign that contract for money and you don't specifically have certain things in writing with that, and that which they don't like to do a lot of times. They will find a way to win, which if they know your ultimate goal is to win the WWE championship, they will dangle that carrot as close as they can to you over and over and over until it mentally destroys you. And it doesn't matter how many millions you have at the end. If you don't have that, what they know is what that was your goal. They know that they won, and they win.
Just to what you were saying about Cody, I think when Tony opted to not pick up the option on his contract, I think he made peace with the idea that there was at least a great potential that he could leave. But it really does look like, because Brandy reading between the lines, because I mean, if you watch, I think we talked about this. You saw her last appearance there, where she was put in a segment with Dan Lambert. It was a train wreck, and I am of the belief, and I know again, I'm of the belief that Brandy wanted to use AEW as a vehicle to get in with producers in Hollywood to have her own cooking show or whatever it was. Okay. She wanted something. And look, all due respect, when she went to Japan years ago to do a match, she broke multiple bones. She didn't really, by all accounts, she wasn't expecting that to be physical. And to get to the larger point, that was one of the biggest mistakes Tony made early on. Cody didn't have the leverage because WWE wanted Kenny and the Bucks. They didn't want Cody.
Yeah.
Cody had no leverage to get his wife, not just an office job, because, okay, fine. I don't know if she completed her MBA, but she got close. Okay. No problem with that. But she wasn't good enough in the ring. She wasn't compelling as a performer. The majority of the audience took their remote and said, we're not doing this every time she was getting an isolated TV spot. And that last segment, I think they lost over 100,000 viewers, her last appearance. And that week, she told a reporter, I want to earn a title. Well, what happens the following week? They're both out of the company.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a coincidence. But I don't want to keep any longer. But the Brandy thing, I think eventually it's going to come out that Tony said, look, I'll try and go as high as I can financially for you, Cody, but I don't want her on. I think at minimum, he didn't want her on TV anymore, because it was just like, look, the fans are telling you with their remote data, not me just saying, oh, I don't like this person for whatever reason. No, data is showing you, look, fans are telling us we don't want her on TV. We don't want this.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what, because
when-
I wasn't aware of all of that. And like, I'm not there. I just know, and
No.
I could tell you, like, I knew Brandy from the vitamin shop. She used to work there. And she was married to somebody else, actually. And I think was getting divorced. I was on my crutches after my ankle injury.
Right.
I'd go to the same vitamin shop off of Tampa, off
Right.
of I think it was Dale Mabry Highway, and
Right.
that's where I'd first met her. Just a sweetheart, and she always talked, was always very nice, and and when her and Cody got together, and but I just want people, like, she's a sweetheart of a human being, and she does work really hard, and her and Cody are in love and have a beautiful family. But I do understand there is, I don't know if wrestling, and I don't. I've never asked her this. I don't know if wrestling is something that she was always something she wanted to do, or like, and like, there's levels to this of the passion with it. And the higher up you get, like, and there needs to be intangibles with talent or different things to make up, if, for the passion or whatnot. I think she loves wrestling, but she loves Cody. And I know, like, I understand him wanting to have her there, because it's a very lonely time on the road if you're not with your, and it helps kind of, almost, it's an insurance policy that you're going to stay together and have a good family if you're a wrestler, rather than being gone all the time. And, with that. So, like, I have all the respect in the world for wanting to, him to have the contracts together, to be there, and to want her to be happy. But it is a business at the end of the day too. And that's why I understand what you're saying, like with Tony. And if there's only so many spots on TV, and if maybe they don't know if she should be or not, I can understand all that.
The one thing that you can look at is that they gave her I don't know if sham is too strong of a word, but they gave her a tryout last August at the Performance Center. Okay. To the point where it sounded like they suspended all the coaches' activities, where they came to the ring to watch her. And by all accounts, they wanted this to look like, at least to Cody, we're giving her every opportunity to show us something. Okay. We're giving her every opportunity. So what happened was, after that, by all accounts, they didn't even give her an answer. They didn't call her back. She told a reporter that we now know talks to Cody, because Cody said on the record they do communicate, that she tried to make it clear there was a bidding war between her. She tried to make it look like she was on great terms with Warner Media. So she was trying to get WWE to pull the trigger on signing her. Yeah. And when she talks publicly now about this, she simply says it was her decision to stop wrestling, her decision. And that's, by all accounts, like, just my opinion from reading everything, that's not true. They didn't want to hire her. It's uncomfortable. I don't know.
If I were WWE though, with everything, but this goes back to the Cody thing of, like, the whole, I would sign her and let her do a YouTube cooking show with a podcast under the WWE brand.
Smart, because you play cater and you make Cody happy.
Yeah. That's what. But I don't understand. And that can lead her to bigger deals with things. You're right. I don't see. But there's an interesting thing at play. If they're not doing that, that would come and tie into how they get back at talents, where then you're not letting your wife have a job, and kind of in keeping you unhappy internally. This is where I talk about the people, those of us that are in the business, and this is why WWE has silenced me, is they knew I was going to talk about all this the moment I left. Look what happened with Matt Hardy, Lita, and Jeff, even in late, I want to say it was late 2000. Well, let's see. Yeah, no, it was late 2001. The writing team, Stephanie specifically, were determined to do a romance angle with Jeff and Lita. Yeah. So Jeff and Lita and Matt all are uncomfortable with this for obvious reasons. They say no. So they're taking off television. They only did house shows up until they all returned and got destroyed by The Undertaker at that Rumble. So they will do, like, look at what happened with Miro, Lana, and Lashley. Vince doesn't believe, it's this weird thing by all accounts, that if he thinks that you cosmetically don't look the part to be dating someone so attractive, he has this weird perversion where he wants to try and end the relationship. So he does something on TV to make everything uncomfortable and put stress on your lives. This, by the way, goes back to when I said Miro, in which Miro got really upset with me when I said him and Lana, and I had a conversation with him at the time. Sure. But this caused a disruption in our friendship. Was when on the show with Raj, and I said Miro, I go, they're stupid for doing this. I didn't mean it like that he's stupid, but like, I knew what Vince was doing when he started this, and the whole cuck angle. And it's to embarrass you, and it's to cause real life problems in your relationship. Whether we look at it as an acting or not, it causes a lot of problems. And I know how Vince is with it. And he got really mad at me with that. And I apologized to him. I go, you know what? I apologize for saying that on the air, because I understand that I should have just messaged that to you privately. But it was like during the show, I wasn't planning on talking about it, but it was, I did. And I was wrong for doing that to him. publicly with that, and I acknowledged that, and I told him that, but it did cause a problem with us with that.
That's who Vince is at his core. And look, I respect the business end of it, but I think he's a dirtbag, and he's a terrible person.
This is my issue with him, where he doesn't take away from the business or anything, because it takes a special person, but he's not a good human being. You
read that he got raided a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, and I'm waiting for everything to come to an end.
I am too. I am wondering.
That doesn't just happen by accident.
No, it does not. Maybe somehow karma will finally visit Vince McMahon's door, because look,
by the way, just on that, I messaged my FBI contact, and I sent them over. I go, just so you guys are aware, and I go, I would appreciate if you just forward this over to the appropriate department. I said, this is what's been going on with my social media accounts. I sent them the paperwork with the NDA.
It's illegal.
Illegal, right? And I said, they've had me silenced for 7.5 years. And I said, I would appreciate you guys just maybe checking emails or different things. Maybe it opens some doors on some other things. And they just said, thank you very much. So we'll see. Like I always say, the truth is going to win. It's going to come out with them on stuff. It's inevitable. And everyone's going to see like everything. Not everyone's going to agree with everything, but my heart is in the right place. And I'm speaking for things for the business. And like, I love the business. I love wrestling. And I've had it taken away, and luckily I'll be able to come back and get my health back. But like, I just went through this stuff physically and with them, and like all this corruption, where it motivated me to telling the truth. And I hope people respect this over time.
I'm glad that you stuck with it, because I knew at the time, I think at the time you were speculating that it was going to exceed 6 figures potentially to fight for this. And look, that was, this is the thing too, right? Stone Cold's ex-wife, they're sitting down, ring moniker, right? To match the Iceman, whenever he was watching a documentary on. She said, drink your tea before it gets stone cold. They should own that. Mm-hmm. They should own that, not them. They should own that. And I don't know if you remember, he left in 2004. They lost Goldberg, Lester, and Austin all at once for different reasons. But he had a beer distributor that wanted to use his likeness. Yeah. Vince tells him, sorry, Steve, the shareholders would not like it if I let you have the name Stone Cold. He owns Austin. He doesn't own Stone Cold. So what does Vince do? Vince gives Dwayne the name The Rock, while Austin literally rescued him from bankruptcy. Yep. It's just, and I just bring
people there used to pull me aside, by the way, that was there for all that when I was red hot, and they told me, and they knew some things were going on with me. Right. And they go, just so you know, he gave Austin and Rock hell. And he goes, he will do anything to anyone. And they were smartening me up to be ready for what was coming. And I didn't even realize at the time but like, there were so many good people there that were looking out for me, because they got along with everyone, would talk to people, and I was really thankful for that. But I just always go, man, people think it doesn't matter what you've done for him or how much money you've made him. He is a certain way to everyone.
No, like when he preemptively sued Martha Hart after the Owen fall, look, that tells you who he is right there. Right? You didn't just say, you know what? We pressured somebody to get up here because he already said no to kissing Deborah on screen because he didn't want to insult his wife. He's a family man. So now he's up on this high platform. The structure is not rigged properly. You have to own that. And he didn't own that. It took Martha, I think, 4 years to get reported. I think she got between 17, 18 million. But you know what? The guy's not a man. And that's where, I'm not going to keep you longer, but that's where this idol worship that comes into play with this guy. Like, look, I enjoy the moments that were on his TV, no doubt. But guess who's the ones creating that? The wrestlers in the ring. Yeah. So it's like, I've said this now, this is kind of my new go-to, and I shouldn't keep going back at these people, frankly, because it's not worth the time. But the WWE fan base is loyal to the record label. They're not loyal to the artist. And I will never, as a wrestling fan that loves this shit, and Will Osprey last night, you saw it. And I mean, I got to say, I ate my words about Jericho. I thought, I don't know. Jericho shut me the fuck up.
Brother, that was a great match. It was. And I'm going to give Jericho all the props in the world. Will, and I've worked with Jericho, and he's been on top for so long. And this was the one match for the first time, and I've never questioned Jericho ever. But the thing is, he keeps going, and he keeps going. And it's like, you think, are we going to witness a really bad Jericho match at some point where everything falls apart? And I think I will never doubt the man, because he knows himself very well, with this. But they put on one of the best matches of the night.
They did. Yeah. They did. I couldn't believe, he did that Hurricane Rana sequence out of, I think Will was trying to put him on his shoulders, and I'm like, oh my God, he's 50, 51. Okay. I was saying to my buddy, we were all watching, a big group of us. So I'm like, okay, I got to shut the fuck up about you. Because you know what?
Brother, I'm telling you, he is put together. But by the way, to go do that after seeing his fucking entrance with his band. Like the amount, and he's doing Fozzy concerts the whole week over there in England. Like, I don't think people, I'm telling you, and like just for, and a lot of people know this guy is a once in a lifetime special human being of like, he's so good at wrestling too. He can go do all these other things and then still like, because at that age and with like injuries or different things, like in mere mortals, like you're going to have an off night at some point. It would be human nature to have just an off match at some point. Like I'm telling you, or anytime he's ever like, he put on a little bit of weight, like he nipped it in the butt and got right back and got into the best shape ever. Like he's finding ways. And like, I think this was a match because Will is in his prime and at such a high level where maybe people thought, oh, maybe there's too big of a gap. You know, no, not at all. Like that match, I'm glad you reminded me because I wanted to mention that on air. Like, that was one of my favorite matches of the show.
The thing about Will that's going to be interesting, by all accounts, he doesn't want to leave London. He loves living there.
Yeah.
The New Japan schedule allows him to.
He's a star, man.
Oh my God! It's just I can't. I don't even have the words. He is one of the best wrestlers I've seen in the last 20 years.
If he had to, and like if that guy, if they can keep him on TV every week and get the character development in. And let that start really shining. Like if he was in WWE and had the WWE push the machine behind him, with that, I'm in like like a Seth Rollins, and like and they're able to find ways to kind of showcase your character and give you a little bit, maybe it's a little bit of a gimmick on top of what he can do. I mean, you're talking fucking megastar. Like that guy's
doesn't want to live in the States. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I respect that. And he wants to. What's the purpose of life? Just make a bunch of money and be unhappy and away from your family, or like have love, happiness, and balance, and live and do what you love.
I think he's going to get a very uncomfortable offer, though, in the sense that it's going to. But I don't want to keep.
He's going to be a major player for years to come, and like it was. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, awesome talking to you as always. I don't want to keep you any longer. I mean, again, love talking. It's always a blast. But have a good rest of your day. And again, I hope that that Chase situation, everyone saw that. Everyone's been monitoring that. We're
just awaiting the DA, and it's going to get processed, and hopefully a minimum of 2 to 15 years. So we just got to wait for it to get processed.
All right, have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.
You too, Mike. Thank you, brother.
All right, you too.
Greatly appreciated. Love talking to Mike, man. You have great insight. I said it from the beginning. People just unbelievable insight to the things going on. Let's follow that up. Let's get Shawnee on. We can't have a show without having Shawnee on. Shawnee, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, big guy.
Sorry to keep you waiting there, Mike.
I love hearing other people talk, man. I don't mind waiting. I love that guy. Mike has some good stuff to say,
brother. He's very smart. He's respectful, which is what I like most about him.
Same, and there was a couple things I would like to speak on though that I know personally. Well, I believe that MJF already re-signed with AEW from people that I know.
And you would know that because you're close to people that are good friends with him.
Exactly. So I am like 95% positive. Obviously things get said, but I am like 95% positive he already signed.
I wouldn't be shocked by that one bit.
Yeah, and it was during that period when he was out and playing that gimmick of, I'm going to go see Vince on a plane and all that stuff. That's when he re-signed. So you think that Tony is going to let his only homegrown talent, like one of the only homegrown talents, leave his company? No way.
It's better to sign him up early than to let that, because then to let all that fuel and speculation and then the
But the good thing is you could still play it as an angle because the fans don't know whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
So when 2024 comes, MJF is going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to Vince and trying to get a contract."
Yeah. That definitely that's probably why they haven't really put that out there. Yeah.
Yes, so I think that's great, but yeah, most of what he said was pretty accurate from what I know. But yeah, that's I heard you talk about the show. This kid Will Osprey. And for people that don't know, I don't watch every week. Like, I'm not a weekly wrestling watcher. Like, I watch pay-per-views mostly, and I'll watch to support Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, like on Impact or
Yeah.
NWA or GCW. Like I'll watch those shows. But like this pay-per-view was phenomenal. Like I actually am opposite of you, big guy. I actually liked that there was no breaks.
Really?
I do agree. Like I think there's like an in between. Like you're right. There needs to be like some.
I just need a couple reset points for the.
Yes, I get what you mean for sure. But I like that it's so continuous because it keeps your focus the whole time.
Yeah.
Like someone like me, like I have ADHD and my focus is shit.
Yeah, because Shawnee, if they cut to a scene of Matt the Young Bucks touring London with Hangman Page and like taking pictures out there, Shawnee was like, "Oh fuck this, I'm gonna go get a fucking burger," and then you miss the next 3 matches, and like so they go, "Fuck, let's just keep the matches going. We need."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shawnee to this burger.
Shawnee's like, "Fuck this, I'm going to fucking get Buffalo Wild Wings. I can't take this. I need more."
Man, so.
But I'm like that. Like if something, I'll go walk the dogs or do something. I'll take a break on it. So, but I stayed and watched the whole thing. So it does work. You're all right on that.
No, 100%. Like I didn't stop watching it. I watched the whole thing through, and I'm like, wow, I don't remember. So this is just a little fact, like what shows you. I have a pretty good. Like a lot of people now, they like short like film media, like the shorts and the reels, and the TikToks,
the short clips.
The short clips, yes, thanks. I have been kind of like against that, like because I know if I ever do go and do that, I know that my focus will be even worse. So I watch YouTube like basically all day long. I work from home, so like during my calls and stuff and my meetings, I'm always watching YouTube, and I watch like documentaries. I watch ghost hunts. Long story short, my YouTube Premium, something happened and the account like stopped. Like you get no ads, and you can listen to the YouTube videos while you're on other apps. And if you don't have Premium, you don't get that. And I'm telling you, big guy, I didn't realize how much I hate ads. I was like, I will pay. They just raised their price from like it was like $12.99. Now it's like $20.99 or something like that, and I was like, I would pay $30 at least a month not to have those ads on.
They're gonna. Your phone is listening to this, and they're gonna have a new renewal next month showing up of that. That's like our phones are listening to everything. They're gonna go. This guy will pay $29.99. Let's send him a renewal next month of a price increase. Nobody else is getting this except for Shawnee.
100%. Get that guy. Get him, man. But I watch. I literally, we don't even have cable anymore. I have Hulu Live TV.
I thought about that. Yeah, with all the options we have, my cable is expensive now with everything.
We were paying like $300.
Bro, that my internet and cable is $300 a month. I go shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like so now we just pay for cable. It's $60 a month, and we have the fastest internet. And with everything included, with Hulu, we have Hulu, Netflix. Like I said, I have the Hulu Live package, which is like $35, $40. Netflix is like $20. So, like, if you put it all together, it's still cheaper than that. And you have a million things you can watch, like Amazon Prime Video. I have
Hulu. Is Hulu regular TV, pretty much?
Hulu, if you get the TV subscription, yes, you watch. It's regular TV. You get all the channels that you want.
I might have to look into canceling my cable and doing that because I have Hulu on my TV, and I never even thought of that.
Because I was like, what am I going to do with my sports when I
that's why I haven't canceled it, because I'm like NFL or different things I want to watch an episode of Bar Rescue.
Sports. So like if you like here we get the Jets and the Giants and the Mets and the Yankees. But wherever
I'm going to look into that. Thank you for telling me that, because that would be. Cut down on that. I can't. But my mom watches TV, and so, but if as long as she has the Hulu, that like can
just hook the Hulu up to the smart TV.
Yeah, which I have them on everything. Man. So yeah, I'm going to take a look into that.
Yeah, it's really changed. It's really life changing, and you have so many more options. You could watch, we have me and my wife. We watch our Netflix shows, our Apple TV shows. Like it's just there's so many options now. It's ridiculous. But
what was your favorite match last night? Was the opening with Punk and Joe after him and Perry got into it? What's the favorite?
That was. I hate Punk. Sorry, I think Punk is the biggest bitch in the world. He's one of those human beings that you look at and you just know to stay away from that person. Like, just from my people reading, like, if I met Punk, I would stay as far as humanly possible away. I met his best friend one night at a comedy show. His name is Cody. Cody, he was, hold on, let me tell you his name, because I messaged with him after, and he's a minor league baseball player. Cody Decker, his name is.
Okay.
And he was a minor league baseball player for the San Diego Padres. And he has like all their hitting records, but he made it to the big leagues and he sucked. Okay. But he was a nice guy. Nothing bad to say about him. But he was
other than he sucked.
Yeah, other than he's horrible at Major League Baseball. He made a career.
Absolute worthless piece of shit, but great guy. Great guy.
I told him, I said, bro, you just couldn't make it.
No, it's not. It's so many don't. He made it more than majority of people will. How far he got? Yeah.
Like, bro, he holds their record for like the most home runs in their minor league history.
Bro, we all peak at different times, man. That was his. Yeah.
Exactly. And I peak when I'm having sex.
I peaked in 5th grade when I was 5th grade president and promised the school more tetherballs and snacks and delivered.
For 30 seconds a day, I peak. But it's the best 30 seconds.
Big sausage in the house.
My favorite match from last night, I really, really, really enjoyed. And it's kind of wild because I'm not the biggest Omega fan, and I'm not the biggest the Twins fan. I'm not a big fan of those guys, but I really enjoyed their match, and I enjoyed the Osprey match. Yeah. I would have to say, probably the Osprey match was my favorite.
Out of how many cheeseburgers would you give it, 1 through 5?
I would give it like a 4.5 burger.
I wish you would start doing just start randomly doing reviews on Twitter, please, with the burger emoji for the matches. We need to replace Meltzer's rating system with a new updated burger system. How many burgers do you give it?
Like Shawnee Burgers.
Yeah. Dude, brother, this is going to lead to a new business for you, the Shawnee Burger eventually.
The Shawnee Burger.
It'll be called the Big Sausage, but it's just a burger joint.
In 20 years, people will be looking up to me. All the marks, they're going to be like, this guy writes for a living.
This is where you got your start, was calling into the RYBACK show, where I told you that he's just going to take off.
But yeah, I did. The guy Osprey, he just has it, man.
Yeah, he's good.
Whatever it is, he has it. Like, he just, when he came out, and what I loved about it was in the jacket lining, he actually had sewn into the names of every promotion that he wrestled for. In his, which I loved. I think Cody did something like that too. When he went to WWE, I think he had like something in the lining of everything that all the things that he wrestled for, all the companies, which I like, because these people forget where they come from sometimes.
I'm going to come back having a fucking Feed Me More Nutrition logo on my singlet.
That's it.
That's it. Hashtag hungry. Just free promote. I'm going to look like Brock with the Jimmy John. Just all Feed Me More Nutrition everywhere.
Who would, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody can stop you from doing that, big guy.
No, I know. Literally, this is why I fought to have. But again, now I've just got to get fully healthy, cleared, and then now I've got to finish everything and complete it and make it worthwhile owning my name. So
yeah, my question to you is: do you think Jericho was good in that match, or do you think that Osprey is so good?
No, Jericho was great in that match. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good an individual talent is. if Jericho was any way not great, that like you have to. This is where I talk to you guys about like timing and like being there, whether you're giving a move or giving a move. This business, everything is timing on it, and Jericho has impeccable timing and balance on that. In which that's like, but like what happens is if you start losing a step and like you start getting slower, that your timing could be off with that. But he was not, and he's not shown any signs. We're all getting older every day with it. He's still competing at a very, very high level. Like that was like man, like I don't think that's why I was saying like people like typically wrestlers like with the longevity that he's had, you would start seeing like a steep decline by now. He's not had that. That's why I think he's in fact he's gotten like in many ways he's gotten better because he's able to work with younger guys, and he knows what, because part of this is he probably knows where he's not the same at. He knows how to hide any weaknesses that he might have. He knows how to put together matches and where it features the other guy.
It works in his favor.
Yes. And that's part of being great. Like this is he's in a whole, I'm telling you, he's like putting together the body of work at this stage of his career is.
Was there anything more Chris Jericho than coming out and singing your own song?
Bro, that like how like I don't think people do you understand like how much work and like that you have to rehearse that with people and like go the timing. He's out doing concerts during the week, and like this guy is living he is truly living the rock star life and delivering like that's what I'm saying, like because sometimes if you like spread yourself too thin, you like he might not have had the time to put together the mat. Like no. Like, not only did he not only pull off that, I think that's the first time anyone sung themselves to the ring with that.
Yeah, it was. That's what he said.
He said, like, and then in pulling off that match, it's like, this is why it's never one person on that. Like that, if he was in any way, shape, or form not able to like we would have seen it. So it would even be more apparent with a match like that, like if things were off. So.
I love Jericho so much, not only as a wrestler, I like him as a person.
Bro, I'm telling you, all the guys I worked with, he would always make time and talk to me and like ask if I had any questions. He'd come up to me. He'd talk to me like when we weren't working together. If he saw something like he's like, what's going on with this? Or Matt, I'm telling people, he's so fucking good for wrestling.
And his podcast, he talks about like ghosts and aliens and he like true crimes. Like he talks about everything.
Yeah. He's like, he's normal. That's the best way. He's a normal guy that fucking just loves wrestling, which is like that's how I feel. Like I love the way that
you said that.
Yeah, rather than like some people that can have like a mental fucking illness, like the wrestle. Like the guy's like he's like a normal fucking dude that can go to a hockey game or go to a baseball game and like not talk about wrestling and like, and then but he also is just fucking loves wrestling. This is like where I try to say having that balance of like he doesn't just like talk about wrestling 24/7.
Yeah, you said it last week. You were like, guys, like, you know, that's why I like talking to Shawnee because I don't only talk wrestling, and that's like, it's so important. I think people like everybody when they see you or whenever when they talk to you, all they think of is wrestling, but you're a freaking human being. Like you do more things than just wrestle.
I fucking eat chips.
You eat chips.
Some people message me and think they're insulting me. They're like, you're only going to be known for, no one's going to remember you for your wrestling career. You're only going to be remembered for eating chips. And I'm like, well, fuck, that's one more thing I'm being remembered for than you. Block.
Oh, my God. Imagine that being somebody's diss. Like, oh, people only know you for eating chips?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like...
Bro, do you know how much talent you have to go? I went viral eating chips. Like, who else have you fucking seen? I should be endorsed by Ruffles right now. I should be on every Super Bowl commercial. I literally went viral eating potato chips in my kitchen, making fun of an ASMR video. And like,
you should really look into it, big guy. I'm not even joking.
I will. I don't want to. I want everyone else to message Ruffles and say, sign the big guy.
I know. You don't want to go.
The moment I'm back, everything. I'm telling you, this stuff's all gonna come together.
It's all gonna hit. I'm telling you, it will. It will. Something happened while we were live, big guy. So, NFL released these belts that are WWE licensed.
Me and Mike were talking about that.
Yes. So they just put them out. and the Jaguars, which Tony, his dad owns, and him, they already apparently they sold out in seconds, but other people are saying they took it off. It's not available, like literally seconds after they went up. So either a bunch of people bought them really quick, or Fanatics took them off. And Fanatics wrote back to a fan that wrote, "Where are the Jaguars ones?" I saw it, and they wrote back on Twitter. They wrote back, these ones sold out quickly.
Well, they may have if the people bought them because of the deal with WWE with Tony Khan.
Yeah, they want to get Tony to sign it. That's what my friend John said.
That somebody, or they just wanted, because before they might not allow. I don't, because that might be a deal where they might not have any say in that because it's an NFL deal.
They sub-license it. Yes, exactly.
In the teams, and it's just well, they'll get paid for it still, but like
they
that. But that's not so. Either fuck it, who cares? Like that's they're getting money off of it, so that's actually if I'm them, I'm like all for it. Like fuck WWE, pay us money, we're okay.
So the guy says they removed the Jaguars title belt from both the WWE and NFL shops. I love this, and
which is weird because wouldn't they just put sold out though if they were truly just sold out?
And then somebody writes just Fanatic support, and then Fanatic support writes back, "Hey there, those sold faster than we could have ever imagined. I would keep your eyes peeled for a restock in the next few days."
Well, we'll have to see if they do that. I would think that they're being honest with that because of the sub-license deal with the NFL.
Yeah, they can't control. Like, listen, like as much as I would feel the same way as Tony. Like, hell no. Like, that's my competitor. If you're I love people so much, but like,
if I were him, I would just make fun of it and just take one of them and do a video and put AEW logos on it.
That's the other way, right? There's two routes you could go. You could go like F you, like let's get this removed, or just make fun of it and have fun with it.
Or I would sell, if I were them, I would make their own Jaguar belts with the AEW logo and put them on their website just for their.
That would be even better.
They could probably do that with his dad owning the team. I'm sure they could do that.
Somebody said, my friend John said, imagine if Tony bought them all just to resell them.
Brother, I wouldn't be shocked if he did buy them all. That wouldn't shock me. But and then he'd definitely just switch out the plates with AEW plates and resell them for twice the cost and double your money.
Yeah, those belts are actually beautiful. I saw one in person. It was a Boston Red Sox one when I was at the Major Pod Live event. One of the fans had it with them, and it was beautiful, man. It was very well made.
I'll tell you, that is a great business deal by WWE.
They're going to make so much money.
The floodgates are open with how strong that brand is with champion. They're going to do that with every. I'm not going to be shocked if they're not working on deals with every major sporting organization.
Oh, absolutely, because they did MLB and then they're doing NFL now.
Yeah, NHL. Every play, they know that's right. All the players are into this shit with that, but like in the fans, that fan base crosses over. It just adds to the bottom line. That is whoever came up with that. That's a smart fucking move.
They should have done it years ago.
But this is why they have the people in the endeavor. Like they're gonna. I'm telling you, these companies are going to find ways with the merging of the minds of like, and some good and some bad. They're going to make more money than ever.
Yeah, because you got two scumbags.
Yeah, it's
like you got Dana White who pays those fighters on the bottom absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
and they need to literally work second jobs.
Bro, it's crazy. People are. This is why like Francis Ngannou and they did the same playbook when he went to the PFL. They put out all. I've met Francis. He's one of the nicest human beings. He is like no, he didn't know me with that. He was like literally the most respectful guy. And maybe he did know me. I don't know. I didn't fucking like, but like he's just like very, but every people I know that know him that have worked on me talk about how great of a guy he is with that. And I could just, and then when they were putting out all the fake stuff on him and like the guy was like, his English isn't the best. And he went on to some of the shows and I felt like he couldn't defend himself as well as somebody that could was maybe speak a little bit better English.
First language.
Yes. And like, cause he was getting asked I could just tell he didn't like, but he like, they put out this shit to try to damage his character and to make people start hating him that like, and it's like, it's the same thing. It's that WWE playbook, which is why I'm just so adamant. I go, the truth is going to win. Just fight this. Cause this is the fucking story is going to change sooner than later.
Well,
but
Dana's been sucking Vince's ass since he's been
brother,
alive. So
it's, They're merged at the hip now with all of it. So
yeah, forget about it. And to me, like, I love how the fighter. You ever notice, big guy? In my time, I've noticed this. All the real tough guys are never ever tough guys in real life. They're such nice, gentle human beings because they don't have to prove themselves to anybody. They know they can literally kill you within a minute. You know, like unless like you're Nick Diaz or Conor McGregor, then you get a few occasional assholes. But most of those fighters are. I met the Gracie brothers. I think they're called. And we were at a strip club one night, and they were there, and they couldn't have been nicer. And these guys,
they just want to see some pussy like everybody else and have a good time.
Exactly. They could literally kill us in like a minute, and they couldn't have been nicer people in the world.
Well, too, a lot of people like in fighters, and not all of the fighters, but like a lot of them too are like self-development, or like they know in fighting, a lot of fighters, even if they're not even big into self-development, like reading or audiobooks, they've been humbled and they understand like they're not competing with themselves. They're competing to be the best version of themselves and to learn. And they've been humbled and through training and fighting, and like they've learned to like not be as judgmental and like to always give people respect unless there's a reason, you know. That's true. Unless you've done the training, and I've gone through a lot of it, and it's like it just teaches you to be like you're typically by default kind unless you have a reason to where you have to like self-defense. Like I
agree.
It's just like, especially in this day and age, like you got to be like the Connor does it most of the time is very nice. It's when if somebody you never know like what does it play alcohol or different things too, but like
I love Connor just because he's Irish.
Connor, man, he just says some crazy shit sometimes. So I worry though if he's coming back, like when I see him out partying and drinking, and like with the company just making millions of dollars, and like it's like, man, it's hard to be as motivated as you once were with all that, and like and rightfully so with it. But like I hope if he does fight, he dedicates himself to a hard camp and like sobers up and
I'll tell you this, like as me, like just a normal human being, like if I ever got that rich, I don't think I would put my head on the line like that anymore, to be honest, you know?
Yeah, well, but you love it. That's what like too. It's when you love something. It's like when people, and this isn't, I'm not the level of Connor or anything, but like with like people, my doctor too, and people like, why would you go back to wrestling? It's like, well, one, I never wanted to leave. I love it more than anything, and there's a lot I want to accomplish still with it, and like it's why I've worked so hard and wanted to get my health to feel good. But like I know what I have at stake. Like I don't want like my career like to be left with. I know a lot of people love me that know the truth, but a lot of people don't. Like I don't really like, you know, I don't want that to be. Oh, I was never unsafe. It's not. I don't like a lot of the lies that have been put out there. I never did, but I was coming back regardless. That just adds extra motivation to it. Like, no, the truth is going to win. I'm going to make sure. And it makes me even more like hungry with that. But like, I love it. Like I genuinely love it with it. And I never wanted to leave it. So it's like, it's hard to explain to people that when you love something though, you know, others by sometimes you have to retire.
I'm so passionate.
Yeah.
I'm a passionate person. I love if I do something, I give it my all. Like even with this show, like I love coming on and I make sure I'm up. I was gonna take a nap and I was like, you know what? I gotta stay up for a big guy.
I appreciate you. By the way, I got to follow you on TikTok. Speaking of passion, you were very passionate doing that penguin dance.
I did that for you, big guy.
I know you did. I'm gonna go follow you on. What's your TikTok, Shawnee? Give everyone.
Let me tell you, hold on. I don't really use it a lot, but I have some good ones on there.
Let me read this super chat real quick while you're looking. Hakata Police says that was great with Mike. Please bring him weekly. Yeah, I agree. I love having Mike on, man.
Yeah, Mike's really good, man.
We could, yeah. If we get Mike once a week on here, that'd be for weekly updates. I would.
Yeah, he's like the good version of the dirt sheet.
Yeah, he's like this is why that's why I like talking to him. He's just respectful. Like he understands. He can state his opinion on other things, but he doesn't do it like in a mean way. But he has good. Like I can just know talking to him. He knows what he's talking about. Like
it's at Shawnee Caulfield, big guy. So it's just at my name, Shawnee Caulfield.
That's your TikTok. So everyone go follow Shawnee. I'm gonna go follow him after this.
It took me a while to think of that name. I'm sorry.
How long did it take you to get that penguin dance down?
It took me 5 minutes. It's not the best dance, but it took me like 2 tries to get that.
Oh man, I haven't studied the dance, but I saw it. I go, I'm just gonna put my chip eating video up with that. I don't dance on there. That's the thing. I've gotten all my followers without dancing. A lot of people think like you got to go to TikTok and like whore yourself out and start dancing. I was like, no. I'm just gonna keep doing my stuff, and I've grown to be the most followed active, non-active pro wrestler on TikTok.
What I do is I just say I edit them correctly, because even if the dance is not so good, if you edit it right, it could look good, you know.
Oh, I know what you mean. Wait, somebody's saying, wait. Oh, I thought somebody said Punk was suspended for 8 months. I don't think that's correct.
I think that's a shoot. From what I heard, like I said, I know people. Like, from what I heard, that's a shoot. And
the Jack Perry CM Punk situation.
Yes, and Jungle Boy is a bitch too. He's a little bitch in real life. Like,
I met him at WrestleCon. He seemed like I just went and said hello to him, but I didn't talk to him for too long. It was a brief conversation, but I wouldn't know anything.
The way he treats you is going to be different, right? You know, so
because I'm the big guy.
Yeah, you're a big guy. You're a colleague. You know,
yeah.
Like, he knows that you're a wrestler. But from what I've heard about him, he's not so nice. So, yeah, it's not. I mean,
that's interesting. I do know. I'm curious to know if that story, because if he wanted to use real glass, that to me is. I don't know the specifics of the context of what the glass was going to be used for. Like if it was like a headshot or but you never want to use real glass in any situation, because you could die. Like you could literally die and cause like Goldberg. They did a thing in WCW where it was supposed to be gimmick glass or something, and he punched through it. Like it messed his hand. Like he was lucky not to die. Like you can slice an artery. Like you got to be.
That's what I was gonna say. You could slice an artery and you're dead.
Yeah, so if there's any truth as far as like that, I am curious on like what the glass. I out of all this, I can care less about like people like being mad at each other. I just want to. In my curiosity is getting. I want to know what that glass like. What was it going to be used for? Was it like a Marty Jannetty real window? Like what did he want to go like? That to me is going to be. I want to just know that information. If somebody could find like the spot, because I wanted. What is it going to be? Glass to the leg, like to the neck, to the head, like what? I'm just trying to think of like what was the context of how this glass was going to be used, because like that to me, I was like, if Punk was doing him a solid on that, like that's like this goes for anybody in wrestling. You never ever want to use real glass for anything.
That's like anything in wrestling. Like he could have said like, "Oh, this is real glass," and it wasn't, and who would know, right?
Yeah, it won't matter. Like, but I don't know if that like life is far like. I'm telling you, this is not a road we want to go down. We're like where we want to start. Then we're going to show the audience how much we want it by really, really trying to kill ourselves. Like this is not the way to do this. It's not going to help anything. So like if somebody can just give me the information on the glass story, that's to me, this is the most important piece of information on it.
And I like Moxley too. I do. I like Moxley. I love the Wild Thing entrance. I love how he walks through the crowd. But like, how many times do I need to see you bleed, bro? You know, like
he does like to bleed, but I mean, he's getting it over, it's his deal, man. It's like part of his gimmick. So
yeah, they stuck those chopsticks in his head or whatever.
I'm gonna show up on Dynamite with a real pane of glass and just smash Moxley for all the Shield stuff. With in Jungle Boys, I'm going to be Jungle Boy's enforcer. That's what we're going to use real glass and just fuck people up with it. You want to bleed, Moxley? I'll make you fucking bleed.
Did you see the chopstick part? Where all I was thinking about was General Tso's chicken when I saw those chopsticks.
I was thinking about how much I wanted sushi. I haven't had sushi in fucking months. Craving fucking sushi. See that? It's like you swing down the road 5 minutes and go get fucking $100 worth of sushi.
And he's sitting there with it's like poking out his head. I'm like, is this a porcupine? Like,
bro, and they had to hit him like they was stuck in his head all as one, and like he hit him, and then boom, it turned into a porcupine.
I know. I was like, this is like insane. Imagine just being like, yeah, hit it until it goes in my forehead.
Bro, that those things, I don't. The people like I've always everyone's different though, like with wrestling and what they bring to the table of like what they're trying. Everyone's just trying to kind of, I guess, find a way to stand out. And like my thing is I'm fucking jacked. So I stand out. So I don't have to worry. People see me and go, holy fuck, look at his fucking traps. He's a fucking hungry fucking
you remember the little
Neanderthal in the fucking singlet.
You're like the kid that like eats the foam. Intimidation.
But like this is where like I look at things like I'm happy on me. Like I could just fucking do food reviews and get views and see people like I'm like when you're fucking jacked and have traps, you get away with a lot more with it. I don't got to worry about.
You got to work hard to be that.
I don't got to go jumping through fucking a third floor story fucking building of real glass and landing on a fucking thing of fucking tacks and say I love this.
The tacks always kill me, bro. I don't care. I would rather jump off a Hell in the Cell than go into tacks.
Would you rather get power bombed by me into a thing of tacks or Legos?
Oh my god! Fuck! Legos hurt like a bitch. Like
they do.
Having kids. Oh my god! Oh my god! Like when you go pee at night and they're on the floor and you don't know.
Brother, I used to have them as a kid and step on them and hurt myself. Like it's.
Oh man, I would have to say probably the Legos, I think.
Yeah.
The tax.
You don't like the blood.
The tax hurt after the fact because you got to take them out.
Yeah, you'd have to. That would take some time.
That's what I'm saying. These guys are like picking themselves like in the shower, like picking glass out their arms, and you know the girls.
Bro, I'm telling you, with the different matches I see where people like all the marks and the bruises, I'm like, that was like outside of if something went wrong, but like you never want that to happen. Like that was always like you want to come out of a match like whole and like looking good. You don't want like I used to get mad like if I had a busted lip, not mad at like the person, but I'd be mad because it would bother me for like a week. Eating or like split your lip in a match or something, and like you're like fuck, or like your back is like you get fucking whipped and like showering hurts for the week. You're like fuck. Like I always try to come out of a match like as whole as possible. I had all the knee pads, the elbow pads. I wore the gloves. I would try to keep myself so that I could fucking lift heavy all week and be healthy, rather than like I don't want to be all fucking banged up.
Yeah, you don't want to be hurt.
Yeah, that's the goal. Like, but I go hard as fuck, but like don't like let's not hurt each other because like we got to keep doing this fucking 5 nights a week and like I want to be able to eat my fucking meals. I'm eating every 2-3 hours. I don't want to be fucking tasting blood with every meal. Dude, having a split lip will fucking ruin like fat lip fucking just pisses you off.
There's like places on your body that you don't realize how much you use them until you get a cut or something there. Like even the tiniest little paper cut, like on your thumb or something, and you're like, damn,
bro,
what the hell?
That's how I'm convinced I had a cut on my hand. We had to tape my thumb. The tape fell off during the match, and I had the weekend of live event. I was wrestling Big Show, and then I got to Raw. It was when I was IC champion. It's when I got they thought I had, I got the staph infection in my leg, my knee on it. I did a Raw match, and I hit my knee on the outside, and it got inflamed and swollen. And then I had media the next day, and my leg didn't go down. It just kept blowing up and blowing up. It was in Birmingham, Alabama. I got the TV, and I told the doctor, I go, something is up with my leg. They literally fucking rushed me to the hospital. He goes, oh my God. He knew right away something serious was going on. I had to stay there for a week and a half at the fucking Birmingham.
Staph infection can kill you.
Yeah. And I was all from, I had a cut on my hand and all that fucking dirt or whatever in the ring. Something had to have gotten in my system. And then when I hit my knee, it just, for whatever reason, that was the area. I'm convinced of it. Like it was.
Thank God you hit your knee.
Dude, I think it's a blessing in disguise. I think that's why I say I've always been protected. I go, and then the week they were going to take the title off of me because they thought I was going to be out for way too long because my knee wasn't getting better. It mysteriously, the day of the decision, I woke up and my knee was just fucking back to normal. And I just go, and I go, I'm fucking, they literally, I got back at TV. Like,
Did you call them or?
I called I go, you'll never believe. I had to send photos and everything. I had to send them so I'm literally sending photos of my normal knee now. They had the doctors and everyone getting photos every day of my knee, like looking like a basketball of my leg. And like, Yeah, it was crazy, man.
That's awesome.
And I would joke with the docs like, "Oh, good thing this wasn't my dick. I didn't have to send photos of my fucking dick every day." Doc, look how big my dick is right now. Look at the size of this dick swollen.
This is natural. You want to see this shit pumped up?
Having to send pics of my dick after having ice on it to the doc.
Hey, I got staph in my dick. You want to come over?
Yeah. I'm telling you, those wrestling doctors see everything, though. They got to look at all the MRIs and everything. They see everything.
Man. I have I don't know. I've always been not that I'm scared for anybody to see me naked, but I'm actually good with that. I'll take my shirt off or whatever, but I hated showering around other people.
That's weird. You got to get used to it. I think that's everybody. I think all guys have a thing with that until you realize it's
it's normal. Yeah.
Because in developmental, you don't have the shower. We'd have a shower at FCW that was an individual shower with a curtain that guys would use here and there. But when you go on the road, you've got a shower. Because we've got the locker rooms, but you're fucking pouring sweat, stinky from working out, and you got to do 3 to 5 hour drives every night, and fucking shower every fucking time.
You're traveling right after. You're not going to a hotel, right?
No, you're going. You go to the locker room and you get out of your sweaty. I would sweat a lot, and fucking that gear, the more gear and all that tight gear, you got to you got to go shower, man. It's.
Oh man, fuck! I got a shower, bro.
That's why I said WWE. Eventually, there's going to be a WWE in the showers of all the guys shower. I remember when I would be me and the Shield in the main event, and everybody else would be gone for the show, or they'd already showered, and it's just me and the Shield in the shower. After I go, this would make a great show. Just fucking these fucking just enemies out there killing each other, and then you're just in the shower, and they would always shower together over on their side, and I'd be over on my side showering, fucking ready to go at it again. I swear, if Roman drops the soap, I'm gonna fucking meat hook him.
And it's not the type of meat hook you want.
No. But you've got to fucking shower at those because otherwise. But I think that's weird for anybody that's not
it's not used to.
You know what you would hate is the piss testing for WWE. You got a complete stranger every time would have to. So you got to go into let people. I've talked about this before. You would have to go into talent relations. They'd call you in, and you got to drink the water and just chill out. And you're waiting, and you got to get they got to look at your ID, and then so you're allowed to drink 2 or 3 bottles of water usually, and everyone's waiting to go piss, and they have girls for a girls' bathroom and guys for a guy bathroom, and a girl had a girl, guy had a guy, the tester, and they're all right, I'm ready, and you got to go in, and you got your cup, and you've got your name on it. And your sticker and then he has your cup and he has to undo it for you, and then you've got to have the cup and they hold on to it or set it down. You've got to take your usually you're in your suit or something when you get to TV, or you get changed into your clothes, and so you've got to lift your shirt up and show them your fucking nipples. So why to this day I don't really understand why they have to look at your nipples. But they fucking look at your fucking lift your shirt up and show them your fucking nipples. I think one of the guys was using a fake.
And the nipples. That's what we need by the end.
The guy, I think somebody was using a Wizinator many years ago, and they had it straps up to your body, so they have to make sure. But you had to go up to your nipples, so it's but it wasn't below. You would think they would be able to see just looking at your abs, but you'd have to always lift up your shirt and show them your tits. So that is the first you're looking at another man in his eyes, and you look up and you show him your tits. And this is just your Ryback ready to fucking go kick some ass. These are my tits, buddy. Fucking. And his brace had perfect nipples. So I put my fucking shirt down. Then you got to fucking pull your pants down. You just take your pants and pull them to them fall to your fucking legs and just look at him with your dick out with it. And you just look at another man in the eyes and he's just looking at your dick. And then he gives you back the cup. And then you got to piss. Then you got to grab your dick while the guy's looking intently, not breaking contact. The guy is like a hawk watching your cock on it, literally making sure you don't do any funny business that you're going to get around this drug test. And then you've got to fucking force the fucking piss because you got another grown man watching your cock, literally just as close as just fucking he's in the action, ready to go. And and then you got to fill up the cup. And then some people will stop pissing, but I would always have to piss so bad because I would fill the cup up and then I would just fucking keep pissing. And brother, I sometimes go like a horse. And I fucking just keep going and going and going. I've got a healthy prostate. bro, that fucking prostate is healthy. No fucking problems there. And so like, I just make I go, if this is going to be uncomfortable, I'm going to make him wait for the whole piss. Like, and I always finish that way. I would be completely, we're done. I feel fucking way better. You got to wash your fucking hands after. Then you got to fucking hand him the cup. Then he has to seal it with the fucking tape. And then you got to sign your initials on the warm fucking cup of piss. Hot cup of piss right there. Signed off by the big guy. Send this off, this clean hot piss.
Give this to Vince.
Yeah, let Vince know I'm good for another 6 fucking months.
He's gonna piss.
Brother, it is, I'm telling you, it is the oddest part of being up there. Like, it's so, you get to it, I didn't give a fuck. But the first, like, few times you do it, it's fucking weird. Like, it's not, how can it not be?
How frequent, big guy?
The what?
How frequent do you have to do that?
Oh, it could be. There's times where you get hit like month after month. There's times where you go 3-4 months without not getting. There's times it goes 4, 5, 6 months. I had a stretch where they were testing me all the time, and then there would be times where you go like half a year without being fucking tested with it. It's just
wow,
bro. It's a fucking. You've got fucking. You want a fucking stranger looking at your fucking cock. It's a weird.
No, I get it. Hornswoggle failed the test because he didn't piss.
It's like,
and like, that's to me is such bullshit. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, he doesn't do drugs or nothing like that, and you fucking suspend him. Like that shit's crazy.
Yeah, trust me. If he was doing coke or something, he would have been much thinner.
Oh yeah. Hey, he has a big bottom.
Yeah. Bro, here's another Hornswoggle. I walked, by the way, Hornswoggle was getting really fat and out of shape. Regal and Daniel Bryan were on him, like saying he needed to make some changes. I think he was happy. He'd had his son, and he'd been up there for a while and had his run. But they were like, everyone likes him. He's a great guy. But he was like, he needed to get his life, and like he was drinking. I never forget. I walked by this empty room. I'm like walking in this arena one day, and I hear like these grunts coming out of this little room, and like I peek into the room. I go, what the fuck is that noise? And I look in, and it's Regal and Daniel Bryan sitting in chairs, Hornswoggle like with his shirt off, like doing push-ups, sweating, like ready to die. They're literally making this guy like do all these push-ups and squats and crunches to try to get him in shape. He looked like he was on his last fucking breath. And I go, this is the WWE. Like, it was just a random room in a huge arena. They found a little office room that nobody was in, and they just had Hornswoggle with his shirt off, fucking putting him through his paces to try to lose weight. Bro, it's the world. I wish every fan could see the shit that goes on. Like, it's wild. It's,
I can't even imagine. It must be like the Wild Wild West, like just walking back there.
I constantly had a smile and laughing at the things, and like I genuinely, those are the things that I miss the most of like the guys and the shit that you would see, and like busting each other's balls at different points, and I could do without the drug test, like the pissing. I think that there's ways you could do that where you have a little more decency, but like, hey.
For sure.
I just question like the people that get into that line of work, because that's the other thing too. Like, it's like, to get into that line of work, you just then you instantly question like the person's sexuality a little bit. Like I'm not signing up like to go do that. Like, because it's not like the guys are going with the girls, and even then that's fucking weird. Like, but like it's like you're literally going, yeah, fuck, what am I gonna do with my life? Fuck, I think I'm gonna go work for Aegis and go fucking watch dudes fucking piss and cock watch all day. Dude, these guys are literally watching WWE superstars cocks all day long. God knows what other, like, who's cockouts? You go from wrestlers to NASCAR to like.
Imagine if they wrote a book like The Size Matter or some shit.
They just the little drug tester and tell all book. He just reveals the fucking dick size of everybody before their test. Bro, we didn't even get time to fluff up. We didn't even get fucking time to fluff up. Yeah, that big guy. That's all a moniker. He showed up to the drug test in his oversized fucking pickup truck.
He was pissing for 5 minutes after he picked up the cup.
Horrible dick, but hell of a prostate.
I can really see somebody doing this.
No, they'd be sued if they did that. There's no way.
No, I know.
Who had the best nipples? Just a tell-all book. They saw it all. I'm shocked they didn't make you bend over and spread your ass cheeks to fucking show them your fucking asshole too while they're at it.
That's why Knobs has such a big asshole.
Yeah, the tester had to fucking put his hand all the way, fist him to make sure he wasn't having a fucking Whizzinator. Knobs had that fucking drug-filled body. That body, the steroids. You got to make sure.
Oh my God! Imagine. But all right, big guy, I'll let you go, man. Have a great Monday. Thanks for having me.
You too, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Later.
Good deal. That was a fun show. All over the place. Oh man, thank you guys very much as always. Big thank you to Mike for calling in. Mike, if you're more than welcome to ever join on, and you got an update on anything, I love having you on, brother. Fans really enjoy that kind of stuff with somebody. I have great respect for you. You know what you're talking about, and you handle yourself well, and I appreciate that. So, and Shawnee, thank you as always. We'll be back tomorrow, guys, with another Ryback show. Check out my Feed Me More Nutrition over on feedmemore.com. Save 20%. Discount code FEEDME20, FEEDME20, all the Ryback merch, feedmemore.com, and a free shaker bottle with all orders. Let's have a great one, guys. Work hard, be nice to people as much as possible, and stay hungry. Until next time, my friends, stay hungry again. Feed me more.